Hi, friends. Hi, Kelsey. I'm
Hi,
so glad you're here.
I'm so happy
Um,
to be here.
I remember talking with you about this when it was just the glimmer of an idea, and you have solved events on Squarespace now. So I'm very excited to get into all of that.
Done.
Yeah, done. But before we do, I want to introduce you. So, people may know you, I think, as the co founder of Week of the Website, which is a Squarespace web design agency. That's how I first met you at Circle Day many moons ago. And aside from that, you have literally written the book on Squarespace.
Yes, a book, the book, a book of books.
Yeah. And it's called Squarespace from Sign Up to Launch. Is that right?
That's correct. Nailed
Okay.
it.
Oh, awesome. And today we're going to talk about what you're doing now, something new called eventually ticketing. And this is kind of the perfect thing for you to do because I remember when I initially met you at Circle Day, we were talking about how we got into web design. And I would love for you to share a short version of that story with the audience here because I think it makes this eventually product make so much sense.
You know what? I think it's very satisfying when you understand that it's not just someone who woke up one day and was like, events. Uh, so when my former business partner and I got started, we were actually doing large scale professional event production and web design. And so,
Mhm.
like, we were producing food festivals in Brooklyn and in Chicago. We were working on nonprofit galas, primarily for like culinary clients, so
Mhm.
chef led events and conferences, like you name it, fundraisers,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I always thought, like, oh, this is so neat. We will be able to build like the website for this event. We can sell tickets. It'll all look and work really seamlessly. And we can produce the event. Like, this is a unique offering for us. And unfortunately, I just like never found that connection to really be true and like really
Yeah.
be seamless. Um, we actually stopped doing events in 2019 because we were ready to focus solely on the website side. What we
Mhm.
specifically felt was that we were too old to be schlepping that many boxes around. And I was like, I want a different life than this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our clients thought we were losing our marbles because they're like, what do you mean you're like letting go of this source of business? But thankfully we did because COVID happened the next year and it was,
Perfect timing.
we would have really been in a bad shape if we had
Mhm.
expected that revenue.
Yeah.
So for the next, however many 5 years, I've been focusing solely on the website side. Um, it was just always one of those things that every time ticketing would come up, it was like, yeah,
Oh,
well,
I've had so many instances where I've worked with people who, you know, I've worked with DIYers for years, right? And so until last year, they could hire me for an hour to help them with anything on their website. And I can't tell you how many of those people were struggling with events on Squarespace
yeah,
because they're like, I can't set up recurring events. So I have this thing that happens every week, but I have to go in and start all over with it every week. It doesn't just automatically happen.
yeah.
And then sadly, the best solution I had for them to display a month of events on their website was this is just tragic to embed a Google Calendar. I mean, that's tragic, right? When that is your best option.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not what we want. I think it's funny because I actually really like the look of Squarespace's built-in like grid calendar.
Hmm.
Um, but agreed. I mean, I think what we found was just like the things that were kind of like beyond the basics of put a
Hmm.
single date on a calendar at various intervals. That's like a very specific problem that not everybody has. But the
Yeah.
people that have it, it's important to them, right? Like
Right.
we jokingly say, well, we say a swear word, but I won't do that here. We say like no one messes around and creates an event for fun. Like
Right.
that's not it's such a high level of like coordination.
Hmm.
You have to kind of want to do it. And if you want to
Right.
do it, you're probably going to have pretty strong feelings on how it should be done.
Hmm.
And so this was just a problem that was like, an interesting one to sink our teeth into. It was something that we knew really wanted, but truly it did start with like, we should just fix events and make it easier for people. Like, we should fix recurring events.
Yeah.
Fix this. This just feels like it should be simple, and we should figure out a way to like sell tickets because it's a great, revenue stream for our type of client.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just snowballed from there.
Yeah. And I think, and we'll get into like how it works, but I do want to call out a couple things. One is that when I've used Eventually with Squarespace, what I think is so cool is that Eventually keeps that kind of modern, minimal look that works with every Squarespace template or creation you have out there. So it looks and feels seamless. It feels like part of the product. It doesn't feel like an add-on, because sometimes like with Elf site plugins, that sort of thing, you're like, there's like Google reviews that look like Google reviews in the middle of my website. It's ugly. You guys solve this so beautifully, and it feels like it's part of the Squarespace ecosystem.
I will tell you that we thought a lot about this because I've, coming at it from the design side, it's very fun to be in a product role now because it's like all of my dreams get to come true of the things I wish existed. The way that we specifically describe it is that it should always feel like a cousin to modern like website design tools like Squarespace.
I love
In
it.
that we are going to have specific mechanics, and we're going to have things that are differentiators because they make more sense for a calendar specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it always needs to feel like it can flow in, because as customizable as we have made it, we know that there are still going to be users who walk in, add an accent color, maybe change their font, but like mostly put it on their site, and it has to look that good out of the box.
Yeah.
Every time. I mean, that's a lesson I think I learned from Squarespace, is because I think they really try very hard to make it so that the default feels good instead of the default feeling like a problem. For a lot of tools, the default feels like a shell instead of like something that's well considered on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. And you guys have done a lovely job. And I think the other thing that's really cool about Eventually with Squarespace is that you're using the Squarespace native checkout for tickets.
Yeah.
So that's something that I was surprised you could do, honestly.
A lot of people were. A lot of people were. We were. I remember being like, we were going into kind of a big deal meeting, and Zach, my husband and co-founder, we had been working with the like Squarespace Commerce API. And like the way that this all started a little bit actually was that I had worked on a Shopify project a couple of years ago, and we like created an event calendar for them on there. It was a florist who teaches floral classes. And in that scenario, it wasn't a matter of like, I'm doing something to the events feature in Shopify because there isn't really a native events feature. It was like, I'm layering a calendar on top of their commerce. And so I was like laying on this couch behind me. My son was sick and sleeping on my chest. And I just remember having this like thunderbolt moment of like, oh my God, I've been thinking about this wrong the whole time. We thought we needed to figure out how to make the events tool better, but actually we don't need to do anything with the events tool. We need to use the commerce tool to make like event selling possible. And like, we can build a calendar. Like we can build all kinds of calendars.
You've done that. You'd already done that at that point. Yeah.
So it was kind of like one of those moments where you feel a little bit like you're in Doctor Strange, where I just remember being like, my thinking about this has inverted in front of my eyes, and like, oh my God. And Zach came back and I was like, we're going to do this. And it's been cool because it's like, the minute we freed ourselves from that constraint of like, we have to figure out how to modify this existing event tool in Squarespace, and instead thought about it as like, how do we use the best parts of Squarespace Commerce to power event-based selling and we could build the calendar that we want to have. It was like,
Yeah. Yeah. And the calendar that you have is gorgeous. You have many different ways of displaying the events. You have really done a great job of building it so that it looks beautiful on mobile, on desktop. You have different display options. And again, all in keeping with this look and feel of the person's website.
yeah. That was the
So,
other big piece is like all of these tools that exist right now, they have such limited styling capabilities. Like
mhm,
really the closest you can often get is like you can change the background and you can change the color of the fonts, but often they're set and they look wonky. And I wanted something that really took from the designer mindset we're so used to approaching things with. Because I
yeah,
think that was the other thing, Christy, is like, I don't know if everybody else is watching the same internet that I am, but my internet is like events are the thing. Like
yeah,
AI is going to drive us to a place where like in-person connection, whether
mhm,
it's virtual or like physical, is going to be like a key part of how we do things going forward in the way that it has in the past and maybe has less so been lately.
yeah.
Um, and so yeah, it was just like it was a really fascinating moment to be like, yeah, this is like, I think this is what we're going to spend some time on here.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to throw the link up here for folks who want to check out eventually. So you can go to christyprice.link/eventually. I'm going to drop that in the chat as well. And if you use code Christy Price, Kelsey has graciously given us 25% off 3 months of eventually. However, if you have free events, you don't have to pay anything,
Yeah.
which I think was really cool. So talk us through that decision about keeping the tool free, which I know how much development time and effort goes into creating this, right? Why did you decide to have a free tier?
I think it was really important to me that people be able to actually test this and feel how it works for their business.
Mhm,
Because, like, what we talked about is that this is like kind of a high infrastructure choice to make.
mhm.
An empty calendar is just an empty vessel. People don't
Yeah,
really put empty calendars on their thing, and they're tied to these like time-based things. So I want people to be able to get in there, feel around, test it out, and be able to try all the features that we've built into it. I also think like there is an expectation of a certain level of usability for calendars that people feel
yeah,
like isn't being met right now.
yeah.
And so I think it's really lovely to be able to provide kind of like a limited peek into that.
Mhm.
Um, I will tell you candidly, Zach and I have gone around and around and like looked at many different approaches. And like
Yeah.
even yesterday, he was talking to me about like one of basically like per attendee caps
Mhm.
for some of our paid plans. So I think it's something we're always workshopping, but it's like I would rather have someone come in and really solve a problem that has been vexing them with a
So vexing.
plan.
Yes.
And then when they realize, hey, this is really easy, like when they say, you know what if I do a paid event? Like,
Mhm,
what if I sell tickets to this? What if I use this to develop a new part of my business? Then
mhm.
I feel like they have everything they need right there in front of them to
Yeah,
just like, take that step.
yeah,
It's not a like, oh, well, I don't want to use this until this. And the other thing I'll tell you is that like right now, we've got like when I say free plan, I mean we have like a free tier. You don't have to pay any money. You can
mhm,
create free events, etc. On the other side, if you are running like a significant business that does a ton around events that are registration only or there's external registration, like here's a great example. Jessica Knoll is an author. She has a new book out called Helpless. She's been doing her book tour last month. We worked with her to set up her book tour calendar through her site because she had like 15 different links from different bookshops for her tour.
yes,
And
yeah,
it's like, that's a lot for people to be able to figure out how to make look really good and really streamlined.
yeah, yeah,
Um, in that case, the kind of wacky thing is like, this feels very In and Out secret menu, but like you can actually put eventually anywhere.
Yeah.
Right now, the only limitation is when you want to charge. Right now, the only payment processor that we're connected to is Squarespace Commerce.
Got it.
Eventually, that will expand. But for now, like we have someone who has a calendar on Go High Level that's collecting free registration.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm excited to like push at the edges of that and see
Mhm.
what we can do for folks even beyond the Squarespace universe,
Mhm.
because what we kind of discovered is like we set out to solve Squarespace events, and actually we found that there is this bigger problem, which is that there really isn't an e-commerce tool built for people whose business revolves around events.
Mhm.
Uh, there's people selling events on Shopify because they want e-commerce features.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, there's people selling recurring events on tools like Eventbrite that are like very discovery based and take a high percentage.
A high
And
percentage.
also doesn't
Yes.
treat their business like it's an e-commerce business, which is,
Right.
so it's an interesting little problem we've happened into.
Yeah, I feel like you've found the right entry point for sure. Um, Tell me a little bit about how you're seeing people use Eventually already. I know you just launched, but I would love to hear some stories of how designers and clients are using it.
Yeah. First of all, I feel like the luckiest person in the world because we started, what's that saying, Christy? Like you're born on third base.
Yeah. Yeah.
This project was so born on third base. Like, this is one where, I think Christine said it in a comment this morning. She's like, this feels like it was built really quickly, but actually it was built on over a decade of experience and talking to clients and things. So I feel like we've
Yeah.
gotten a really like accelerated start because you
Mhm.
all, when we started demoing this, I remember I have this message from Christine. She was like, when's the soonest I can get this?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no, I actually need a date because I have a client who I need to use this. And
Yes. And that project just launched.
it did. It's enjoy
Yeah.
Washington. No,
Mhm.
explorewashingtonpark.org. And it's all of the like biggest tourist destinations in Portland. So the Rose
Mhm.
Garden, the Japanese gardens, the zoo, etc. Um, if you are going to go to Portland and plan an activity using, going to any of those places, you'll be looking at an Eventually calendar, which is
Amazing.
wild. We were actually in Portland a couple of months ago while we were building this.
Uh-huh.
So it was just like we went to that zoo and it felt very otherworldly to think like, oh my gosh, at some point in the future, people are going to look at this.
Yeah.
Jessica is an author, of course.
Mhm.
Emily from Bon Vivant Cakes, we've been working very closely with. She runs this incredible cake decorating like education studio in Chicago.
Mhm.
She actually brought cakes to our Chicago launch party last night. And like
Amazing.
it was, Christy, when I tell you, it was so satisfying to finally eat these cakes that I've been staring at for months. I was like, oh my God. I think I took a quarter of it home in like an open metal tray from our catering. Because I was like, I knew I was going to be up till like very, very late for the product hunt launch.
Mhm.
And so I was like, I'm eating this cake on the couch, like for sure. So her site, I think, is just like an explosion. And it's been really cool because when we've worked with designer partners,
Mhm.
the things they imagine and do with these like with the Eventually widgets is just so cool. I want
Yeah.
to like definitely give a shout out to the Week of the Website team. We've done a
Mhm.
bunch of like kind of crossover projects, a very
Mhm.
special episode with folks like Diana Hill and Bon Vivant. And
Mhm.
there's one that's going to be coming out in a little bit called Virginia Truffle. The website is live, but the events are not. And they're a
Okay.
Virginia-based truffle farm that was using a tool called Barn to Door to sell
Okay.
their events and workshops. They teach people how to cultivate truffles in America. They take people on these truffle hunts with truffle puppies, and then they have dinners afterwards.
This is on my life bucket list, by the way, the
I will
truffle
go
dog
with you.
hunts.
I will
Mhm.
go with you. Like this is one of those things that like just a tiny nudge could get me to do this.
Mhm.
Because they're also the nicest people I've ever met. And they have a parrot that was like hanging out on the shoulder sometimes during these
A
calls.
parrot?
A parrot. Her name's Gabby. She's an
Oh my
African gray.
gosh. Crazy.
And it was really funny because I feel like Vanessa like put her finger immediately on it. She goes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here because for the last few years I've been selling tours and workshops and dinners like a turnip. These things are not turnips. She's like,
Yes.
this is not like I am using the wrong, and can tell that I'm using the wrong tool for this,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know what the alternative is. And so that to me is like, oh my God, yes. Like, this is why I haven't slept in 7 months,
Yeah.
because this problem is like one that is worth solving for people.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little hyped. I also think
No.
that these businesses are so interesting and they're so fun and like
Yeah.
creative and beautiful.
And I've dropped in the chat Bomb Vivant Cakes, Jessica Knoll, Explore Washington Park. So you can check any of those out and see how they're using eventually.
Yeah.
Um,
One other, Chrissy, there's
mhm.
one other one I wanted to mention. It's
Yeah.
actually coming up. If you're in South Florida, there is this gorgeous dance festival called Banyan Dance Festival. I wanna compliment Brittany Millington. She's one of our circle, colleagues.
Hmm.
And she did such a beautiful job building this, but they're using eventually to sell tickets to various events at this dance festival.
Oh my goodness. I'm looking at this right now. Can I just share my screen for a
Please.
second?
I mean, Brittany,
Because
such a gorgeous job.
Brittany,
I know.
amazing.
I
Look
know.
at this.
I
So we've
know.
got the festival events. You can
Yes.
search, you can sort, you can filter. Look
Yes.
how beautiful this is.
I mean, the imagery is incredible. And I think my thing about this that I love is
Hmm.
you can see all the different things that they're doing, right? They have
Hmm.
free classes, they
Hmm.
have bigger concerts, they have
Look, free
things.
classes.
Yep, there's free things. They have the wait list enabled. So if you sell out a class, you can join the
Hmm.
wait list in case they open more tickets
Join
up.
the wait list.
You can see
Amazing.
them tagged and categorized. And to me, it's just like, this is exactly what we imagined when we set out. And it's just wild to see it.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I did not touch this at all. This is all Brit, like all on the implementation side, all on the design side. And so that is just something I never understood. Like building the process for Week of the Website and then seeing people execute on it, it's one thing.
Yeah.
Building a tool that people then like randomly come along and they sign up
Hmm.
for it and then they build
Hmm.
it and then it's on their site. Like we find out about stuff that's on people's websites that we didn't even know was going to be out there.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at Explore Washington Park right now. Can I share that as well?
Yes. Oh my God, this site turned out so well, and this is like
This is
such a
Christine
huge
Neal.
collaboration.
Amazing job. And she worked with a lot of different designers. I know Will Myers did a lot
Yeah,
of the coding here. So
yeah,
this is such a full calendar. I love how it's coded, right? By the
yes,
color coded by
yes,
category.
yeah.
You can
I
also
think
look
this
at the
was like such
card.
an interesting project because this is like an aggregate calendar for all of these different spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And Christine and the team did such a good job of trying to be really intentional around how do we explain what's going on to people without
Mm-hmm.
requiring them to have, and like we want it to be visual, but we also don't want it to feel overwhelming. We're
Mm-hmm.
not going to have a picture for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably have noticed this already, but there are some things that are free, some
Yeah.
things that are paid, some things that
Yeah.
are free with membership, some things that are free with attendance.
Uh-huh.
And Christine did an amazing job of like pushing the tool and kind of working with Zach and I to make sure that the right classes and things were surfaced so that
Yeah.
she could edit it to work exactly how it needed to.
This is just amazing. And I love how you can switch between these two views as
Yeah.
well, because sometimes you need to see at a glance this whole month. And
Well,
other times just looking at the cards, you can be like, okay, all these are July 30th, 31st, then we get to August, but I just want to do things that are free because I'm on a budget.
yeah.
And what's happening this week?
Yeah.
Here we go. Look at all these options. Yeah,
It's crazy to
phenomenal
watch
job.
for me to watch you use this too, because I think we use it so much, we're constantly testing it. But
Yeah,
to like see someone else, we did a lot of user testing at the beginning, and then lately it's just been a lot. We don't have to do as much dedicated testing because we're just always in conversation with people. But it
yeah.
is fun to see it move through. I think the biggest part of calendars is like, and this is the issue for all of these things, right?
Hmm.
It's kind of like 4D chess because
Yeah,
you have, what's the thing you're selling? How much does it cost? How many of them do you have? Is
yeah,
kind of the three rules, right, of commerce.
right.
Then you add, where is it?
Hmm.
What time is it? And how
Hmm.
often are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And are there different tiers of ticket? And so I think it's
Yes.
like it becomes vastly more complicated. We
Hmm.
have talked about, you and I, like the kind of Squarespace's approach to events and why it's so hard to like sell events on Squarespace without this.
Well, I don't think the events tooling has been touched in the last decade. So I think that's definitely part of it. I remember being on a call once and somebody referenced the events team at Squarespace, and we're all like, has anyone checked on them? Like, I didn't even know they existed.
Yeah.
So I know people wear a lot of different hats at Squarespace, and I feel like the events hat had just not been worn in
Yeah.
a decade or more.
I think part of it, and this is one of those, like, having spent the last 7 months of my life thinking about this and websites, and of course my adorable children and Zach, and you, is it's like you pull a thread
Hmm.
and Zach and I had to write these comments in our product hunt launch. I loved The Good Place.
Yes.
Such a good show.
One of my
So
favorites.
my comment starts with a Jason Mendoza quote, which was, "Whenever I had a problem, I would throw a Molotov cocktail, and then boom, I had a different problem." And that is exactly what this feels like, because you can walk up to the edge of like, I would
Hmm.
like to improve this. And
Hmm.
then there's a Rubicon that you pass, and it's like, how do you pull it back from here? And I think like
Hmm.
knowing technically how like commerce and events are set up technically, I
Hmm.
completely understand why it doesn't work that way. But I think what's been interesting, Chrissy, is like, this is not actually an isolated to Squarespace problem.
Right.
It's fascinating because what we thought was like, oh, we're going to solve this for Squarespace. This is a problem on Squarespace. And the next thing you know, we have people going, I'm on Shopify and I hate this. I'm spending
Hmm.
so much money. And people are still going to a drop down and picking
Hmm.
out a date from a list, but I can't
Yeah.
sort my events by date. I
Right.
can't let people see what's sold out in the timely manner.
Hmm.
And for them, there's also no like dynamic attendance. So
Yeah.
this is the other piece that people don't think about, is like, when you're selling a commerce product, you're going to like keep selling it, forever.
Yeah.
For an event, there's a time that it's going to
Hmm.
happen in a day. Well, maybe you want to have conversation with people with a event confirmation. Here's your ticket. Here's
Yeah.
a reminder. But people are joining that queue at different times, right?
Hmm.
For most of the tools that people are using to sell events, that means they're constantly exporting the list of people that they've bought, that have
Hmm.
bought that product,
Uh-huh.
adding those emails somewhere, then sending them an email. Like, there's just no infrastructure for it. And so
Right.
it's funny because the two of them just like have not in the past played well together.
Yeah, exactly.
We're like, get together. This is how we're going to do this now.
And, just we touched on this a little bit at the beginning about your background, but you do happen to be married to the perfect co-founder for this product.
I do. Zach, and I feel like more and more Squarespace people get to meet Zach. If you're going to Kate Scott's Square Summit, you'll actually get to see him and Will
Hmm.
talk about implementing APIs for Squarespace, which is really cool. I'm very excited
Hmm.
that they're doing that talk. Zach is a software engineer. He works as a fractional chief technical officer for startups and small, bootstrap projects. Lately, he's been doing a lot of like, I built this thing with Claude Code and I don't know anything else about it. How do I make it real? Which is very fun.
Right. Yeah.
But he also has worked like in this space in the past. He's built and sold tools for other platforms, WordPress and things like that. So we actually met when he was like doing some customer research for a project that he was thinking of doing on Twitter of all places. And like we started our whole journey together thinking we were going to collaborate on a SaaS product. We ended up just like dating instead. And so that's part of why we called it Eventually, is because we were like, we knew we would eventually get around to it.
I love it. I love it. And the perfect pairing with your background in events and Squarespace and Zach's background in app development and tech and dev. It's just perfect. It's perfect.
And he's such a good collaborator too. Like, I'm sure you've seen this getting to know him. He asks great questions and he's a very open person. He's like always there to take good feedback and it's just fun.
Yeah. I have to say, I got to beta test the product along with a few other people, and you guys were so welcoming of like when a bug was found, it's like, awesome. And then within 5 minutes, Zach was like, squash that bug. It's crazy.
I would always rather have someone that likes us tell us about something that's not working than someone who doesn't know us from Adam and being like, this is broken. We're like, hey, I'm sorry.
Well, and you've got some fan mail here from Wayne Pelletier. I'm loving Eventually ticketing. It's been interesting to see how the content request for event info and event admin workflow changes on the client side.
I would love to hear more about this. I think this is, we've been kind of driving towards getting to this point of launch, right? Of like, we are officially launched. After today, I'm not talking about launching anymore because we're launched. We've done it in 2 cities and on the internet, so like it's over. And I think one of the things I'm really excited to dig into after I take a little vacation is I want to spend a lot of time with folks like Wayne, who and Christine and Britt and all the beautiful people who are building on Eventually, and really figure out like, how do we enable you all to build this stuff in such a way where that logistics step is pretty simple. We do have the ability to import and export events, which is nice. We're always improving that. Christine's actually been really helpful in dialing that in. But yeah, I think I would love to figure out a process where we can give folks like some really good tools to collect that event info. We do have EV, which is our like event intelligence layer that makes it very easy to just like type in words. Like, I want to host a mahjong class for 4 people at, this coffee shop on this date. And it'll like intelligently fill out the actual forms for you. And then the other piece that's really cool is that you can then query the information. So like for our cake client, every Wednesday, their team goes in and says, hey, Evie, like, what do I need to prepare for this week's classes? And it'll actually go through and say like, all right, you have 8 classes coming up. 3 of them are cookie classes.
Amazing.
In your classes, this many people are gluten-free. You need to have this much prep for these things. And to me, that's like, coming from an event producer background, I'm like, that's what I've always wanted. Like, which things are selling out the fastest? What things are slow? All of that fun stuff.
Yeah. And just to be able to, after the events, get that data and be able to work with that and prepare for future events is going to be huge. Huge.
I think it's going to make it easier for people to do this kind of business, which I always love.
Yeah. And like you said, like this is the perfect time for it. In our world where there are robots everywhere. Let's get them to figure out all the data while we go and spend time with other humans.
Robots do robot things, so humans can do the human things. That's the rule.
But I do want to say huge congratulations on your launch. I know that you also went live on Product Hunt. So I just dropped a link in the chat. So if you are watching, please do Kelsey and Zach and Eventually a favor and go ahead and give them an upvote on Product Hunt. So I'll put the link on the screen as well. And tell us a little bit about what Product Hunt is and how that works.
Yeah, so Product Hunt is every day people who are launching new projects can kind of submit information about what they're launching. And then the community can go in and learn about the products that they've built. So we filmed videos, we built kind of like explainer visuals and things like that. It's been the most amazing way for us to kind of like make sure everything is like pretty buttoned up. So I would say from that angle, it's been very useful. But I think it's kind of like a way that you can sort of tell people, hey, we've built this new technical product. Right now, it's very AI heavy. There's a lot of stuff going on in that space. For us, AI has always been something we're implementing as a tool, but it's not the full story. And I think we've had an amazing day. It's also just like a really nice kind of central place for people to be able to talk about their experience using the tool, for us to say thank you to our collaborators. And one of Zach's longtime friends works with Netlify. His name's KP, and he does a lot with Product Hunt. And so he actually like coached us on what we needed to do and what we needed to prep.
Awesome.
And then we also have been working with Henry Purchase as an advisor over the last 3 months to help us kind of set up a really good foundation. And he also gave us some great like SOPs and here's how you do this. But it's kind of just a way for us to mark the time and say, this is launched and live. This is why we built it. This is what we're going to be trying to do. And like feels like a little time capsule.
It's amazing. And I can't believe that this just started 7 months ago and you already have a product live and in the world. So if you are watching, take a moment, go to Product Hunt, give Eventually Ticketing an upvote. I'm going to put my link back on the screen for a second. If you want to try out Eventually, christyprice.link/eventually, and you or your clients can use Christy Price for 25% off 3 months for the paid ticketing.
Yeah.
Kelsey, huge congratulations. I think that the most impressive thing to me is that you and Zach did this with a 4-year-old and a newborn at home.
You know, I will send you a picture from this morning, Christy, because we could not have timed it better. Our youngest basically started pulling up to stand like last week. And we very quickly realized he's fast. Like he's fast. And there was much of this process that we went through where he was just like sleeping on one of us and we're like working with Claude Code on our phones.
Yeah.
Timing is everything, right? I don't think we could have ever done this at any other time in history, at any other time in our lives. And so when people ask like, why are you doing this right now? I'm like, I don't have a choice. This is like, this has different pull than I've ever experienced in anything in my life. And this morning, so we had the Chicago launch party last night, and we had our kids at both events.
Yeah.
It was really important to me that they be there because this is a part of their lives. And this morning, when I was getting Jasper ready for school, I had made these little buttons from this great company in Chicago called Busy Beaver Button Company, the home of the only pinback button museum in the world, by the way.
Love it.
And he's like, I have to put on my Eventually pin so people know. And he goes, I'm going to wear it on every t-shirt that I wear all the time. And I was just like, and I was like, yeah, bud. I was like, it's the family business. He goes, I helped out a lot last night. And I was just like, you did.
He did
help out a lot. So it's been an amazing experience for our family. It's been so fun to see him learn about what a website is and why we do this and how people use these things. And I come from a like entrepreneurial family, and I remember being in those, types of events with my parents and learning so much. But it's just like, God, it's wild and wonderful, and I wouldn't trade a second of it back. It's been phenomenal. And I also would like to say, like, the other piece of that is this week of the website has continued going as well. Katie, our operations director, has been amazing when I've had to kind of be like very heads down on building the new tool. But it's also been really cool because our team is like learning how to use Eventually for clients, and they're answering questions and they're doing stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, these kids are all out in the world on their own. So it's very fulfilling.
I would love to have you back another time to do a demo for us so you can show Squarespace designers or DIYers how
Yeah.
to get this set up, how easy it is to
Yeah.
get it set up and running on your website. So let's
I
get
have
that
an
on the
idea for
books.
you. Here's
Okay.
what we're going to do.
Okay.
Zach and I are putting together a website with obviously an eventually calendar on it,
Mhm.
with all of the events before and after Circle Day for Circle
Amazing.
members.
Yeah.
So, like South by Southwest and all these other events have all these off calendar events. We know
Hmm.
that we've been doing them and kind of building these over the years, but I really want to see more like attendee led activities and events. So, we're going to be we'll be putting that together over the next couple weeks. I would love to figure out an event that you would want to do, Christy, that
Yes.
we could go through and set up together for you.
Oh my goodness. Last year I did a coffee meetup after. I would love to do that again.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll talk about that. I think that would be so fun.
It would be perfect.
Um, and before we leave today, Linda has a question for you. She
Yeah.
just had a thought. What annoys her about Acuity scheduling is that she has a separate checkout process from her e-commerce site. With eventually ticketing, can I also sell my group sessions?
So this is one of the wildest parts of this is with eventually, because it uses the commerce function, you can
Mhm.
actually do a blended cart. So that means that you could buy, actually, Christy, if you want, there's a site
Mhm.
called Groundless. It's just groundless.org.
Got it.
This was kind of the designer, this who built this, his name's Chris Simmons. He's wonderful. He actually found us on Claude, and Claude was like, these guys aren't like, they're not live yet, but you could reach out to them and see if you
Mhm.
can get in the beta. And so I have an amazing email from him with the subject line, I am desperate for your product. We're like, of course, like we'd love to have you. But this is a beautiful mindfulness space in Santa Barbara. If you're near there, please go and tell me how it is, because I can't wait to get there. But they really wanted to be able to sell their events and art and donations like all in one cart.
Yeah.
And
So
so you
let's go
can
here.
do all of this in the same area with the ability to check out.
Okay.
And it's just super cool. So you could buy a class, you could buy a piece of art, you could buy multiple classes. They also do like suggested donation. They do, buy someone else's session, buy someone
Mhm.
a coffee. And I think this is like really exciting because there's so many things that people want to do. And it's like, I don't want people to have to check out multiple times.
Yeah.
We also
Phenomenal.
collect individual attendee information. So
Mhm.
it's a little bit different. Usually these things only collect the purchaser information.
Mhm.
But if you're hosting events and people are coming in groups, that means you're missing like half of the data. And
Yeah.
or
So
something as
let
simple
me bump
as,
this up to 4 attendees. And
yeah,
now you can apply attendee 1 to all, or you can put everyone's name and email in.
yes.
Amazing.
Yes. And so like if you want to collect food allergies and have those be tied to
Mhm.
an individual, or t-shirt sizes, we have all kinds of custom questions that you can add per attendee. And we also have the ability to sequence these. So you can choose to collect this information right now, or you
Mhm.
can have it collected after checkout or emailed to them to fill in later. Um,
Amazing.
Some people don't want any friction getting to the cart. Some people want the maximum amount of information.
Mhm.
And our hope is to like give them the choices that they need to make the product that works for them.
It has so much functionality for something that has just launched. So this is not an MVP at this point. This is a full-fledged tool.
I know. What did we do? What did we do? I haven't even showed you the pre-sale feature or gated access to individual ticket types or add-ons.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we've got to do that. We've got to do that. But I think we're at time for today. So we're gonna have another call. We're gonna go in, dive into these features, show people how to use them, because I really do think that eventually ticketing is the event solution we've all been craving for Squarespace for the last 10 plus years. Also, Linda says, wow, it is amazing.
Thank you,
Yes,
Linda.
it is, Linda.
Thank
I'm so
you.
glad you joined us, and I'm so excited, Kelsey, to hear how things go after the launch. Again, there is a link in the comments with a coupon code if you want to try out eventually ticketing for the paid tiers. You can use it free for free events. And please go to Product Hunt. That link is in the comments as well, and give Eventually Ticketing an upvote. Kelsey, it is always a delight to chat with you. I am so excited for what you've built.
It's so mutual. And I will say, like, I'm beyond grateful. You and so many of our peers have been incredibly generous with your time, your thoughts, your ideas, your feedback. Like, you can't do this without your community. And I think I genuinely love this group of people so much. There's something really amazing about Squarespace developers. I've
Yes.
said multiple times, if I was ever stuck in the woods and we only had one roll of duct tape and I got to pick one kind of person to join me, I would pick a Squarespace developer every time because they're the craftiest, most lateral thinking people in the world. And
And
Martha,
kind.
yes, kind,
Yeah.
curious,
Mhm.
fun. And you guys have all just helped make this come to life. So Christy and everyone out there, thank you for welcoming Eventually into the world. And I hope to help you sell lots of great websites to your clients that now have a new e-commerce function. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Until next time. Thanks, Kelsey.